Tell me about your list.
I'll say, as I look at it now, I'm probably being politically biased in a lot of these movies.
That's okay.
So I will fully admit that. Also, there were a lot of bad movies this year.
Yeah.
And why there were some of yours that I wish I'd put on mine, but then I realized, but then I'd have to take something off.
Yeah, but this is why we're a team.
Yeah.
Is you fill in the gaps for me and vice versa, and you get two opinions. But Alan, why don't you present your list and go from 10 to your top one?
Well, then last thing I'll say about my list is I think the theme in a lot of these movies is it should have been better. It definitely could have been better. And starting at number 10 is Megan 2.0. It was a bad movie, mostly because it violated what you should have a sequel be. A sequel should take what you love about the first movie, put it in the second movie, and then expand from there. In this movie, the first Megan movie, what we loved was the killer robot toy, the one that was just murdering everybody. In here, they turned Megan into, she had murderous, predilections, but she becomes now the good guy, which is this theme that Hollywood keeps going on to. If we create a great bad guy, we got to make him a good guy, and that's what they did with Megan 2.0. So even Jason Blum made the same comment when he basically went on Twitter and apologized for the sequel. All right, number 9 is Heads of State.
I forgot that one. That's
I know.
Good.
Just a bad movie, a badly written movie, and the main reason it's on there is I just wanted to salute John Cena on decades of entertaining me and in the wrestling industry. You went out as the greatest of all time. Your heel run this year or last year was perfection. I loved it. And you made a horrible movie, Heads of State. All right, number 8. Eddington. This is the start of one of a few political movies. We are in such a divided time. What I want to see in a movie is balance. And what editing tried to do was be balanced, but it was written by people who really still don't care about both sides. And the Joaquin Phoenix character is supposed to be, the MAGA crowd. And it's just, he just plays it out as the stereotype of what the left thinks the right is, and just becomes irredeemable by the end. Very boring. Number 7, Doing It. Hey! We both had Doing It on number 7. Number 7 is
agree.
But it is an example of the worst of comedy. It's a movie whose premise should have been great. There were several things missing in it. Boobs were one or two, and then just good jokes. It's when you do a sex comedy, you've got to cross that line. And this movie, it sort of exclaims itself or pats itself on the back by saying we didn't cross a single line here, and the movie shows. You've got to cross that line. You've got to be offensive. And also Lily Singh she's the comedian who makes weird remarks and then thinks it's funny, or makes ironic comments and thinks it's funny. And that's what this movie is from start to finish. All right, number 6, Captain America: Brave New World. This is one of 2 Marvel movies where the villain is defeated through empathy. And this is probably the worst example of it. Look, we could go on and on about whether Sam should be Captain America. But again, this was just this earnest attempt to correct and redo what Captain America, the faults of Captain America, Steve Rogers, and put it all into Sam. And again, the only way he's able to beat the Red Hulk is think of your daughter. Think of your daughter. All right, number 5, Predator: Badlands. I think you like this one or came close to it. But this one, again, it's the bad evolution of this series. Why do we love Predator? Well, Predator was an alien who hunted the average guy, or at least, the above average guy in Arnold and the Danny Glover. Um, and it was the movies were about how does this guy with resources that everybody has, how do you defeat this alien that is invisible, has better weapons, and is stronger and better than you? How do you defeat that person? That's the theme of the Predator movies. Even Predator Prey went on that. It was how do you defeat a predator when you're just a Native American with a bow and arrow? Um, this one is the backstory we thought we never needed, and we don't need it. And to kind of empathize, to have your main character be the belittled child of his parents, for him to take down his father, and then that's mother. There you go. That's the ending of a lifetime. Thank you for that. I hope there's not. I hope we never meet mother. Number 4, House of Dynamite. Yeah, another one of these award nominated movies. The reason I didn't like this is and this is a theme again with a lot of movies this year. You have to buy into the plot in order to enjoy this movie. And if you don't buy into the plot from the very beginning, you're lost and you're gone. And that's kind of where House of Dynamite fell with me. It's an interesting story. What do people do when a crisis occurring, when nuclear missiles are about to land on Chicago? What do you do? And the movie takes 3 different viewpoints of it. It takes the viewpoint of the guys in charge of shooting down the missile. It takes the viewpoint of the politicians who have to make the decisions about what to do, and then finally the president. The reason this one of the reasons this failed with me is, and why the plot didn't work with me, is the idea that these missiles are coming at Chicago and no one can figure out where it came from. To me, that just seems far-fetched. And I kept thinking about that because a lot of the decisions are made of, well, we don't know who launched it. So do we do this? Do we do that? And if you don't really believe that they don't know who launched it, then those discussions mean nothing. And then finally, this is also an example of what happens when our military is staffed by DEI. It's not that women can't do the job, but in this one, the women are overly emotional. Most of them are crying when these missiles are about to land, and you kind of want a military that is going to stay steady and stay focused to deal with the crisis and not fall apart at the last minute. Number 3, One Battle After Another. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of heat, especially on my online review of this, but this is essentially Antifa the movie. And if anything else, to me, it's an Antifa recruitment movie. If you don't believe that, well, that's your opinion. This is my opinion. Sorry, but that's again, if you don't buy into the plot and this is what you think the plot is from the beginning, it just ruins the rest of it. And I will say that that if you watch Paul Thomas Anderson at the Critics' Choice Awards Black Celebration of Film and Television, that whole sequence where he honors the women of One Battle After Another just really struck me in the sense of, why did he make this movie? And was he influenced in making this movie? And finally, I feel like the people involved in this movie, if you don't think like them, they hate you. Like, they really hate you. I'll just leave it at that. You can think whatever you want. Yeah, I'm being political. And that's my choice. Number 2, Tron Ares.
We agree.
I mean, look, before watching this, I watched there we go. I watched the first Tron and I watched the second Tron. And after watching Legacy, I was like, I like Legacy more than I thought I did. Because at least it had something to say. In Legacy, you had basically a son chasing his father, a father who basically decided that in order to save the world, he has to trap himself in the computer world. And you're playing with those kind of dynamics. This one is just, what if they all got out, and let's create some incredible battle sequences. Look, I think the visuals are great in this movie, but that's pretty much all you can say about it. Jared Leto is a big thud as Ares. He becomes what he does for no particular reason other than, oh, this is 2025, and he's got to have feelings and emotions about the world, and it's just making these political statements out of nowhere, and it's a movie that ultimately says nothing in the end. And then finally, number one, Snow White.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Look, Wish was the culmination of 100 years of the Walt Disney Studio, and they destroyed it with Wish. Snow White represents the beginning of the Walt Disney Studios, and they destroyed it. Not only did Snow White birth the company, if Snow White had failed, there would not be a Walt Disney Company, and he was close to failing. And this is what we do to Walt Disney's legacy. We tell him, well, you told a bad story. Back in when the movie came out, it was a different time. Misogyny was rampant. No, we're going to take that movie and we're going to fix it. And this is the theme I've had with Disney ever since they fired Lasser, is they felt that they had to take the Walt Disney legacy and fix it. And this was the one that said, hey, Snow White is going to become the ruler of a country that's basically communist Russia. And and not only that, we're going to sing about it. There's a whole song about communism that opens the movie. Oh my God, I could just watch the review. This is one of those movies where bad decisions were being made from the very beginning, all throughout production, and then finally through the promotion of the film. Just one bad decision after the other, and Walt Disney is now rolling over in his grave. So congratulations, Snow White.